Thank you for tuning in to the Secure Your Energy Show, where we have real life conversations with real life people. Our show explores the solar and energy storage market. I'm your host, Michael Gibson, and my company is Fortress Power. The Secure Your Energy Show airs bi weekly on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. If you would like to be a guest on our show, please email us at sales@Fortress Power, hashtag Secure Your Energy Guest. Today's guest is Art Krebs from Construction Art. At Construction Art, they are turning bottoms line green. And I'm going to bring Art on to the stream and I'm going to let him introduce himself. Hey, Art, thank you for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Of course. First of all, let me thank you, Michael, for the opportunity to join you on your show. This is a great time to share with people what we are doing today regarding renewable energy and sustainability. Thank you.
Yes, Art, thank you. It's a pleasure having you here. We were talking behind the scenes. I'm just grateful to have him on here because the camera has a way of making people, lose their steam. Even though we are salespeople, I was telling them we have a lot of people that are in sales, and sometimes they still get nervous by the camera. But today we wanted to talk about essentially what you have on your company's website. You have a slogan that says "Turning bottom lines green." I wanted to ask you, could you elaborate? What does turning bottom lines green? What does that mean?
Sure. So let me give you a little bit of the history of my company, so you might better understand how did I come to that slogan. So we've been in construction since 1991, and we started in California, and doing all types of constructions. At the end of the day, in 2008, the crash came and hit everybody very hard, specifically in construction. And most of my clients, which I still, um, have friends as well, were really impacted by the economy. So they were struggling to survive, and their businesses were just dropping. And thinking, what can I do now that these people are not able to, do more construction? So in my mind, the best thing to do was to help them out survive the economic downturn by looking at the bottom line of items that they really hadn't looked at before, because it was more of a customary thing of just paying the electrical bill or paying the water bill, or all these utility charges that they never really looked at. They were looking for perhaps saving on their products and being able to have a higher profit, but those hidden continuous expenses was something that were completely ignored for many years until something happened and they could not survive. So what I did is I was doing quite a bit of fast track commercial projects at that time, and some of my customers produced services that included food and things of that nature that had a lot of energy consumption, and it was about 30% of their expenses. So at that point, what I thought was, perhaps with incentives that the government were giving back then for solar, start looking into doing solar installations, as well as looking at water consumption, quality of air, and reduce the expenses. And the other thing that I was able to incorporate to that formula was marketing their businesses as going green, because at the end of the day, as we all know, uh, going to renewables or doing recycling or um, you know saving water is all towards the same goal, which is living a sustainable life, becoming green. So the results were very impactful. We saw about 30% reduction on expenses and about 15% increase in marketing. So that whole turnaround made their bottom lines green, and that's where I created that slogan, and it was very successful.
So you literally went from construction to solar like that, turning bottom lines green. So I know we talked about some of the projects you did, and I just wanted to ask you about. You said something, before we got on the air about the HVAC system. One of that. Can you talk about that a little bit? What did that entail?
Yeah, so the first commercial HVAC system powered by solar was actually implemented and installed here uh, in Florida, where I am. I'm in St. Petersburg, Florida right now, and that was an opportunity that I was given by a few of my contacts, and one of the clients that has been one of my best clients forever. He decided that he was going to try this. So we were able to provide him with an installation of Linux uh, solar HVAC system, and that was the first one that was installed. So that was something that was an innovative thing at that point.
Well, it's funny that you say innovative because honestly, I never even thought of having a solar HVAC system. Like I didn't even think of that. So solar is so expansive, and solar you can do so many different things with. And I appreciate, you just even thinking about the people, because when you're turning bottom lines green, you're actually providing a lot of savings for a lot of homeowners and a lot of businesses. So that is definitely an admirable thing to do. Let me ask you this question.
Thank you.
What, you're welcome. Why would someone, choose solar? Give me some reasons why someone should choose solar.
So, Michael, I think that there's a much deeper goal in my mind. At least that's my purpose in life is to, through all these years since we started fossil fuels, and we've been kind of not respecting Mother Nature the way it's supposed to have been from the very beginning. I think that we live in a paradise planet that we were granted, and all we've been doing since early on is been just, uh, you know, taking advantage of it without really looking at the future and making sure that what we do does not impact new generations. Look at where we are today. A lot of people have their own thoughts about climate warming, but at the end of the day, I think that there is an impact on basically everything that we've done uh, by creating a lot of pollution, a lot of garbage. At the end of the day, it is reflecting in what's happening, not only with the weather itself. I mean, look how many fires there are, more than before, how many, storms and all different of, natural catastrophes that are going on in much higher rates than before. The glaciers melting, it's just something that if you don't realize that there is a problem, then we have a problem much bigger than what we've created. Because at this point, what we need to do is we need to create that momentum in where people understand that the only way that we're going to be able to survive as a species is really by respecting Mother Nature, because there's nothing that can go against it and not have it, react. And that's basically what I see, that there's a reaction. So this is a moment in where sustainability really needs to take a big step forward. And that means that people, especially now with COVID, I think we had a time to reflect on what's happening. We've all been, pretty much in a cell, which is our homes, not being able to go out and realizing that, where did this all come from? We really don't know. I mean, there's all kinds of theories out there, but at the end of the day, it's happening. And the only thing that I see that we can do is try to work together towards providing that respect to Mother Nature, and renewables is a great way of doing that. So, I can tell you one thing that's really interesting, that I don't see other companies that are in the same business being my competition. I see them as being part of the team, a team that is trying to make sure that we decarbonize this planet and make it much more healthier and profitable so that there's abundance that can be shared for everybody.
So when you look at solar, you look at it in much bigger scale. You're looking at the totality of providing renewable energy to make this planet better in general. So when some of the benefits of having solar, I would assume, is what, lowering your carbon footprint, right? Because now you have these panels on your roof and you're not necessarily using the grid energy, but you're using your own energy produced from the sun. Um, When it comes to solar, you've done HVAC. You did the first HVAC install with the solar. What other ways have you used solar outside of your traditional just panel for your house? Have you got involved in other aspects of solar?
Yeah. So basically, I think that, in addition to solar, anything that is beneficial to stopping I would say the I wouldn't call it destruction, but the damage to the planet makes sense. I mean, everything that's related to health. But in this case, talking about solar, some of the projects that I've done that included solar were, for example, there's a situation where we have truck stops all over the country through the freeways. There's locations in where the trucks, park and they sleep and they leave their engines running, and that also causes pollution. So imagine a number of trucks just sitting idle with their engines on, creating that pollution. So somebody came up with the idea of what's called idle air, which at the end of the day, instead of having the engine running, we would provide them with energy and air conditioning as well through a device that was powered by solar. And the way that it worked was basically at the end of the day, you had something that was connected to the window, kind of like a big, I would say, duct that was coming from a beam above. And then it would provide them with power, electricity, cable, even access to the internet. So that whole device that at the end of the day was able to offset all those trucks being idle producing CO2 uh, really was powered by solar. And that's one of the interesting projects that I did. Um,
That's amazing. So you're telling me that we know that trucks. Shout out to the people that drive trucks. We know that the trucks transport a lot of things in at least the United States for sure. Because trucks, certain things you can't just fly. You got to use a truck depending on the size of things of that nature. And as you said, trucks obviously as they travel across up and down the highways, they need to rest. So you were a part of something where they're no longer emitting CO2 because they're using solar as a way to provide air conditioning things like that. That's another thing. That's awesome. That is really doing something to make a change, for the better and using, renewable energy. Now, let me ask this question about you. Your company, obviously, you've been on the forefront of innovation with HVACs. You've helped things with trucks. Now, for the homeowners, why would someone as a homeowner, why would they go solar? And then the second part of that question is, why storage? Could you elaborate on why you see storage as another viable alternative to helping someone be more sustainable?
Absolutely. So I think that at the end of the day, not only the benefits of going solar, um, including, for example, reducing the carbon footprint is number one. I think that the second one is definitely having your independence or taking charge of your power. And nowadays, as we all know, we're most of the people are working virtually from home, and our kids are going to school from home, and all these things are happening in a different way that it never did before. So we are relying in 100% relying on the grid to provide us with the power that would be, uh, a basic commodity for us to survive. Because let's say, for example, if something happened tomorrow that we had no control over the grid and there was no power, I think that there's been studies out there that said that you would only be able to survive for so many days, and then after that, you don't have anything as resources to let you survive. So if you're able to not only take charge of your power, but own your own power source, in where you have a system that it automatically continues to produce energy as the sun comes out and charges your battery and gives you the energy that you need. And if there's a blackout, or if it's I would say a continuous blackout for a long time, you don't have to rely on other resources. For example, the other alternative would be to have a generator. But then generators require fuel. And we've been through many hurricanes and disasters in where, yes, you had a situation that you had a generator, but then you had to go get fuel. And then in order to get fuel, you have to stand on a line that's probably a 2-day line before you get anything, right?
Right.
So um, it just doesn't make sense in my mind having to be relying on other types of resources if you can have it on your own. And I can say that the history on the cost of solar, and I've been doing this for a long time. It was really hard at the beginning trying to present a solution when the only thing that we're looking at was the price, not necessarily the value or what was behind what the actual product provides, which is something that is way beyond looking at, oh, well, this product is less than this other product. No, it's not about the product. It's about the value of the system that you're able to implement in your home to provide you that resiliency that is so necessary nowadays, and also to become power independent. And if you take charge of your power, then you are independent and you have no problems going forward when anything of that nature happens.
So you're saying if someone were to have energy storage, that gives them independent, independent. They're able to be grid independent. So I think, can you speak to this? Because I think there's a misconception. Because a lot of people, especially what's going on with the environment, we just had a massive snowstorm cover a big part of the United States of America. So there was a statement made, I won't mention the person, about solar was part of the issue. So is the issue the solar or is the issue not having storage? Because I believe, if I'm hearing you correctly, if you have storage with your solar system, that allows you now to be able to use the energy that is being produced by your solar. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah, so it's very simple. We all know that the sun only comes for a certain amount of hours during the day, and then it's nighttime. And solar doesn't work at nighttime, uh, and you would need energy. So how can you supply yourself energy at nighttime? It won't be the solar system. Um, but the other thing is that, let's say, in the situation, and we all know that, for example, Texas, and I have family there, um, got into a blackout situation, and to the point that water wasn't even available as well for a number of days. But imagine if you had a solar system. Do you think it would have worked if you were tied to the grid? No, because the solar system also requires energy to initiate the inverter's function. So if you don't have a source of power, which is provided by the energy storage system, then your solar would have been completely useless in a blackout situation. So if the configuration of your system includes solar and let's say a energy storage system like Fortress, and in addition redundancy with maybe a small generator, then you have no issues going forward. Because at the end of the day, every time that the sun would go out and there's a blackout, your system will continue to produce energy, which could be stored into your energy storage and then use at night, and then come back when the sun comes out, and you still have enough energy to start up your system and continue that cycle that continuously will provide you with that power. And that's how you become power independent.
Man, there's a saying that says, say it again for the cheap seats, but because we only got 30 minutes, I'm not going to tell you to repeat that, but that was just such a great definition because I think there's a huge misconception that people assume because they have solar that they are independent. But you cannot be independent if you don't have both products. If you don't have the solar, some type of energy storage, because as you said so well, that energy solar panels are not producing during the day. I mean, during the night. You have to have a means to store that. So that is just such a great point because so many people right now, as you said in Texas, went through something where they had no power. And they had, in California in the summer, they have rolling blackouts. In your territory where you live at in Florida, you have hurricanes. So storage gives you the ability to rest assured at night that if you were to lose power, you could be able to store that. Now, you mentioned a second thing, and I know that my company, we sell batteries, but you mentioned a generator. So if someone is going to have true sustainability, you recommend having both of those because the generator is a means of backup.
It's more of redundancy. At the end of the day, we never know how long a hurricane is gonna, put us down. So at the end of the day, if you are in a situation that your system is not, uh, you know, engineered properly, you might find yourself in a situation that your energy storage system got to a depletion point that if you continue to use it, it might hurt the system. So at that time, a generator would be your only means of making sure that your whole configuration becomes sustainable. Because if you deplete it to a certain point, then it's not going to last you that long and it's not going to provide you with the energy that you need. But as a safekeeping, having a small generator just to be able to increase that capacity for a small time period is critical. It's more of redundancy, making sure that you do have a sustainable system all around. If you're, in many cases, when we do off-grid systems, 100% off-grid, there's a balance between how much solar are you going to put and how much energy storage are you going to put, and they both have different values and different costs. But at the end of the day, if you look at the at the best configuration that could be put out there, is to also have a small, um, I would say, safety net of having a small generator. And I'm not saying buy a huge generator that would produce, a lot of power. It could be just a small, portable generator that are very inexpensive, but that will at least give you that trickle that you will need to get you to a level that you'll be continuously having that resiliency.
So solar plus storage and a small generator gives you a level of resiliency that you wouldn't have without it. So you really have you've said a mouthful because I think a lot of people think that solar is just it. Solar is part of the cog in the wheel, so to speak. Solar, the energy storage, and then for the redundancy, you add a small generator. Now, speaking of just the planet moving forward and things of that nature, I have a question. Where do you see renewable energy going in the future? Or what if you could be president for the day of the renewable energy company, what would you like to see? What sort of things would you like to see in the future for renewable energy?
I think renewable energy obviously is going to continue to, increase throughout the planet. There's a lot of goals that are set for many countries uh, to go to a certain renewable level by 2030, by 2035. So at the end of the day, if you look at what the transformation of the planet that we're facing today is about, it's really transforming ourselves from what we used to be in the past, um, uh, where we were just going after and trying to, harvest as much as we could without thinking about what those uh, actions would have as an impact in the future. So nowadays, if we transform ourselves from fossil fuels into renewables, then we have a much, how can I say, balanced and more thoughtful way of living forward. Because at the end of the day, that will help heal the damage that we caused in the past. So as far as renewables, I think that the future of renewables is here. Everybody can see that many countries are moving forward to be highly renewable and sustainable, and trying to eventually reduce the impact of fossil fuels going forward. As you can see, the major car manufacturers have already uh, provided certain promises that they're turning all the production from fossil fuel engines into electrical engines going forward. So that whole transformation is something that, and I hope that it would be timely, because at this point, there's a lot of things that are happening, and you know, I just hope that it is not too late to move forward in a lifestyle of sustainability. But it all takes collaboration. This is not about just a company or or somebody that's looking to make profit, but trying to understand that at the end of the day, this cannot be achieved unless everybody has the same mindset of what we've been doing in the past needs to change. So, and a lot of people are afraid of change. So that's where the challenge comes in place. It's a matter of, educating the people so they can understand, and then, take that step that in many cases has been a challenge for many.
I like something that you said in the beginning of our conversation, where you said that you don't see people as your competition when you look at other solar installers because you're looking to make a difference. You're looking to really provide a level of change for our planet because we recognize that solar is one of the things that is going to really make a difference. It's really going to make a difference to solar. Like you said solar. You mentioned, you use solar in the HVAC setting. You use solar at the truck stops. I know there's solar hot water heaters. Then, in addition to just plain solar, you have energy storage batteries like the ones we make at Fortress Power. So there's a lot of things that we do to provide more sustainability through renewable energy. Just to recap, renewable energy is here for the future. That's what I see. Renewable energy is going to be the future because you see so much stuff happening, and I hope that we will continue to see this happening more and more. And I know that Art. What in closing? What message would you like to give to the audience because you've done a lot of projects, you've been involved in a lot of different things on different continents. What message would you like to leave for the audience to think about when it comes to renewable energy?
I invite everybody to join us in the effort of turning this world around by becoming sustainable and implementing renewables by simply coming to our website and accessing our advocator page and register so that we can all promote renewables, energy storage, and a sustainable living. Thank you very much.
Well, Art, again, thank you for stopping by today. You've been such a wonderful guest, and I've really learned a lot. Everybody, you've been watching Secure Your Energy Show. I really thank you for tuning in today. And as always, we want to invite you to just engage with us, to join our shows, to be part of the movement. As Art said, we want to make sure that everyone is doing their part. Everyone is doing their part just to make a difference in this world because without everyone doing their part, we won't see the level of change that is needed. So you've been watching the Secure Your Energy Show. I appreciate your time today, and I hope that you tune in next week. I mean, the week after we air bi-weekly at 11 o'clock. And again, thank you for tuning in to the Secure Your Energy Show.